Morning world. It's a beautiful Thursday morning and it's a very, very crispy sort of snap in the air. And that makes me think a lot about what I do every day. Everything should be crispy and snappy. Everything should flow. Everything should be, beautifully packaged and tightly wound. Everything should be perfect. In reality, of course, in marketing, nothing's ever perfect, and you're constantly moving from one campaign to the other across different channels, trying to make sure that everything flows together as well as possible. And we all know that the 80-20 principle means that perfection, whilst it is an aspiration, is very rarely a realization. And yet we strive for perfection. And that brings me on to a most important point, I think, for any business leader who is in charge of the marketing of their business. You have a choice. You have a very, very simple choice. You can either outposition your competition or you can outspend your competition. And everything I do focuses on outpositioning the competition. For me, outspending sometimes is relevant. Sometimes you are going to spend more because it's a very, very urgent need that you need to resolve. You need to fill a room, or you need to push a product much more quickly. Perhaps the runway wasn't there, but you don't have the luxury of time to plan and outposition. But as a whole, given a choice, as business owners, we never want to outspend anyone. We want to get the maximum return on our investment, and the best way to do that in marketing is to outposition. So let me just talk about outpositioning for a minute. What do I mean? Well, what I mean is, ultimately, wherever the battle is fought is going to give you an advantage or a competitor an advantage. And anyone who's read Lao Tzu's The Art of War will remember there was a piece about he who picks the terrain generally wins the battle. And the same is true in business and marketing, of course. The same is true in almost anything, actually. When I'm trying to coach my son, if I do it under my terms, I tend to get a better result. If I do it whilst he's playing Fortnite, not so good. So he who picks the terrain generally wins the battle. So let's look at how that applies to marketing and outpositioning. Ultimately, there is a marketplace, and in that marketplace there is a conversation. And that conversation is taking place. Now you have a choice. You're either in that conversation or you're not in that conversation. Obviously, if you're not in that conversation, your ability to generate revenue from that marketplace is decreased because you're not a part of the meaningful conversation that your customers and prospects are having. And so outpositioning gives you the opportunity to think about where all the other people in the space are positioned, how they're positioned, what they're trying to get out of the space, and how they're the perception that they're shaping of their business to their customers and prospects. And you have the luxury of foresight. You can see what they're doing because they're doing it. And once you've taken stock of that, once you've done that competitor analysis and you can see what everybody else is doing, the trick then is to disruptively decide how to do stuff differently so that you're in a phenomenally different position, so that you are outflanking all of them and coming at the market from a totally different view, hopefully one that adds more value, hopefully one that reduces cost, and hopefully one that gives your customers and prospects something much more interesting to talk about. And ultimately that's where things get disruptive, because if you are out positioning, if you have looked at the marketplace and you are determining where your competition is, what the landscape of the marketplace is, how the marketplace have reacted to what is already on offer, you're then in a position to pull the rug out from all of them and to give them something brand new, completely out positioned, doing something different with a new style, a new way, with brand new language that really speaks to them, that really addresses the points of their pain that haven't been addressed because everybody else has been doing the same thing that everybody else has always done, because that's how it's always been. Everybody else is just towing the line and competing in the approved ways that are easy, that make it easier to be lazier and focus on outspending rather than outpositioning. But you bravely decided to take stock, look at your competition, look at the marketplace, decide how to do it differently, to be different, to disrupt. and you'll win.